Hello, we will be presenting today our teaching lesson on job performance. This was created by Emily Coyle, Kelly Garrett, Brandis Long, and myself, Tanya Soul. Thank you.
Michael and Jan definitely made out.
Oh.
Maybe more.
Ugh. Oh, also it is Thursday, but Dwight thinks it's Friday, so keep that going.
Yay.
Good work, Stanley. Great performance review. Stanley in the house, everybody. Woo! Angela, your turn.
I actually look forward to performance reviews. I did the youth beauty pageant circuit, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. I really enjoy being judged. I believe I hold up very well to even severe scrutiny.
Michael?
Yeah.
Jan's on the phone for you.
Oh, Angela, you were totally satisfactory this year. Interesting. Jan is calling me. Maybe it wasn't so mutual after all. Yeah.
Michael.
Jan, to what do I owe this pleasure?
I am returning your many calls.
Well, hello to you too. Yeah, I just wanted to get some closure on what transpired between us at the meeting we had in the parking lot of the Chili's.
No, we won't be discussing that, Michael. The only things I want to talk about during your performance review are your concrete ideas to improve your branch.
Well, surely this review is a formality because of what happened at our meeting in the parking lot of the Chili's.
Review is anything but a formality, Michael. And I expect you to forget anything that you think may have happened between us and exhibit completely professional behavior.
Been thinking about you.
Okay, that is an example of completely unprofessional behavior.
I don't see how that's unprofessional.
Michael?
Yep.
Are the cameras in there with you?
No.
In your office?
They are not. Yes, they are. That's my girlfriend.
John, you've written a lot about narratives and how they can shape both economic thinking, political thinking. There seems to be so much negativity nowadays with Occupy Wall Street and the divisiveness in Washington. What gives you cause for optimism that we can maybe break through some of this divisiveness?
What excites me right now is I think we're on the cusp of moving to a set of technologies where, big generalization, but for the past couple of decades we've used technology essentially to automate and eliminate people wherever possible from work. And I think right now we're entering a set of technologies which are much more about how to make the individual more empowered, more effective in whatever they're trying to do. And in fact, it's shifting the balance between the individual and the institution. Individuals are getting more and more power relative to institutions. You can see it playing out everywhere from Tahrir Square in Egypt to the connected consumer that's getting more value from the companies they deal with, the vendors they deal with. So I think it's an interesting transition. At one level, it creates pressure and stress because it's a new set of practices, a new way of doing things, and people are uncomfortable with that kind of change. But I believe that at the end it's going to result in a society and business world where the individual matters much more than they have in the past.
So what would be your advice to somebody, either mid-career, starting out, to avoid or strip out that short-term thinking that causes the stress? And how do you take a step back and assess?
We have to reintegrate passion and profession. That you need to really look hard at yourself and say, is this whatever work I'm doing, is this really exciting to me? Is this something that motivates me to go to the next level of performance? Because we're in a world of increasing pressure, and I don't think that's going away. I think it's actually going to increase even further. Mm-hmm. So if we're not passionate about what we're doing, we're going to experience that pressure as stress, and ultimately we'll burn out or be marginalized, and we won't be successful in what we're doing. So the people who are going to be really successful are those who are really passionate, because then those pressures become exciting. Now it's an opportunity to get to that next level. Mm-hmm. It's something, wow, I never thought about that, never encountered that. How would I do it?
Right.
So you get really excited about it.
So how do you, this is fascinating, how do you connect with your passion then? What's the secret? Is it about sitting meditation or
if it
were
easy, we'd all be passionate.
Right.
We actually just published a shift index report, and it's 25 metrics that try to quantify where we are on what we call the big shift, this long-term transition.
Who's the we
we're
here?
Going through. The we is the Center for the Edge at Deloitte.
Okay.
We've been publishing this. It's our third annual report.
Mm-hmm.
What we found is that only 20% of the workforce is passionate about the work they're doing. And the passion levels are actually inversely related to the size of the institution. So the larger the institution, the lower the levels of passion. The most passionate people are the independent contractors, self-employed people who are really engaged in what they're doing.
Right. So companies in Silicon Valley, where you walk into Facebook and you can sense a lot of energy, and I mean Google maybe had that energy and got a lot bigger. Is it inevitable that a company, when it gets to a certain size, will start to lose their people and their passion, or can you kind of maintain that?
I believe you can. I think that part of the issue is and another way of characterizing the big shift is that we're moving from a world of push to a world of pull.
What does that mean?
And what it means is that in a world of push, the formula for success was predict and forecast demand, and then make sure push all the right people and resources into the right place at the right time to meet that demand.
Right.
That requires predictability. Part of the issue is passion is not predictable. So if you're looking for predictability in your workforce, you actually don't want passionate people. Or at a minimum, you want people who are passionate but on the side, not in the workplace.
Right.
Because that leads to unpredictability. If you're in a pull world where it's all about pulling out the right resources and people at the right time and right place wherever the demand materializes, now passion becomes much more central because you're always confronting unanticipated demands, unanticipated needs. You need people who are really excited about that versus those waiting for the order or the instruction of where do I go next.
Okay. And what's the way to recruit those kind of people? How do you make them come work for you?
There are two challenges. I think one is you can recruit people who are already passionate. Mm-hmm. And in that case, I think what you need to convince them is that you're providing them with a platform to become even more effective in addressing performance challenges and learning faster, getting to higher levels of performance. Passionate people get quickly bored. So if they're just facing the same routine every day, man, they're out of there pretty fast. I think the other side of it is don't give up on the people who aren't passionate. Find ways to redefine the work so that you can potentially excite the passion, draw out passion from people who may not today be passionate. I think what Toyota did back in the early days of their automobile assembly plants was they said, look, working on the front line's a very mundane, routine kind of job, but your real job, it's about identifying problems, because problems surface continually on this assembly line. And more importantly, it's to creatively solve the problem. And by the way, if you can't solve the problem, we're going to put a little pull cord next to your station. You pull that cord, the entire assembly line stops, the whole thing shuts down, and a team is going to swarm you to help you solve the problem. Passion levels went way up because now they were creative problem solvers. They could see they were making a difference. And so...
Makes a lot of sense. All right, I'm going to go find my passion. Thanks a lot for your time.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tanya Sewell, and I'm going to talk to you today about job performance measurements. Employee performance measurements, when used correctly, can greatly benefit the employee as well as the company using them. Feedback and performance measurements are wonderful tools that allow employees to better themselves and in doing become better employees. It's important that job performance measurements not only be used correctly, but that the proper tools are used for the industry in question. I'm going to talk to you today about 4 job performance measurements. However, there are many others out there and many that are industry specific, for example. The first one I'm going to talk about is KPI, or key performance indicators. KPIs are measurable values that are set for the industry involved. They are used to not only evaluate and monitor when milestones and targets are reached, but they are also used to demonstrate how effectively a company and or an individual are achieving key objectives. KPIs allow goals to be set at the individual as well as team level, and they can be used to evaluate and reevaluate progress and successes while compiling and saving the data to have historical records to compare to in the future. In order to be effective, KPIs need to be quantifiable measures or metrics relevant to the industry in question. The second thing I'm going to talk about are PDP, or personal development plans. These are exactly what the name implies. This is a plan that is developed by an individual, either alone or with management input, and it allows the employee to create a roadmap, if you will, of their personal and professional goals while with an organization. While PDP is not a performance measurement in the traditional sense, more and more employers are recognizing that helping to invest in employees, including to help them foster their professional growth, can have benefit to the business in the long run. The third one I'm going to talk about is self-evaluation. Self-evaluation is a tool that allows employee and employer to review the past and plan for the future. Many organizations make self-evaluations part of their annual review process. Typically, the employee evaluates themselves and their performance, and then the employer evaluates the employee on the same scale, and they compare and discuss. This allows an employer to get a better idea of where an employee thinks they are doing well and where they believe they need to improve. This can be a powerful tool for employee growth and development. Lastly, I'm going to talk about the 360-degree review. 360-degree reviews are generally distributed to peers, managers, and coworkers of the employee. They involve a set of questions which are generally geared toward the employee's skill sets, contributions, leadership skills, teamwork, and interpersonal skills. 360-degree reviews are more focused on how an employee affected the work of others and if they were team players. These are just a few of the different types of performance measurements that are available. There are many, many more. Some are more formal and some are less. Some of the most important things to remember when implementing performance measures are they need to be quantifiable, meaningful, and consistent. If you don't have those 3 things, then it's very difficult to hold an employee to task if you as the employer aren't being consistent on what you're evaluating them on, and also if you're not giving them measurable goals to work towards.
6 steps to improving employee performance. There are many ways to approach the challenge of identifying specific examples of poor employee performance. The reason this method works is simply that it shifts your focus to the behaviors of performance that needs correction rather than to the person who is not performing. Remember, your goal is to fix a behavior or performance problem, not to fix a person. Ideally, you will address the performance issue in a way that leaves the employee feeling confident that they can resolve the issue and remain a valued employee. Follow this simple yet powerful 6-step process to further develop your people leadership skills. Step 1. Identify all undesirable behaviors. To get started, we can generate a list including all undesirable behaviors of performance issues in your business. Your list will include everything that your employees do or do not do that you would like to change, ranging from people turning up late to low or poor quality outputs. If you work in a team with other team leaders or managers, you might get some value from completing this activity as a group. Shared knowledge improves your leadership skills. Note, if your list includes acts of gross misconduct that warrant a summary dismissal, please seek advice from your human resources advisor to resolve these issues. So, you're going to want to create a table where you list all of the behaviors that you would like to eliminate from your business, including poor job performance. Now, this might have anything to do with poor customer service, to not following procedures, to having some hostilities with other employees. So you want to write each of these down. Step 2, you want to identify which undesirable behavior to focus on. As it is often the case, you will end up with more than one undesirable behavior or performance issue to resolve, in which case you should identify which one to resolve first. If your list includes undesirable behavior and poor performance, you might like to consider addressing the undesirable behavior first. It is normally easier to address behavioral problems, and you can usually see improvements straight away. A common question is, why not address all performance issues at once? And the answer is simply this. If you discuss too many issues with your employees in one go, you may overwhelm them and cause them to lose their self-confidence. Ideally, you will focus on the performance issue or behavior that causes the greatest problem for your business. By focusing on one behavior at a time, you will be taking a continuous improvement approach to performance management. Now, this step, you want to create a table, and you're going to pick the first behavior or performance that you would like to eliminate. So really, you're actually just prioritizing them in this step. Now, step 3, you want to identify all of the people who demonstrate this behavior. A good leader is fair and consistent. After selecting a behavior or performance issue to focus on, identify all people to demonstrate this behavior or performance issue. All right, also, do not make excuses for any one person. Making people accountable for their own behavior is a good leadership skill to develop. So in this step, you want to identify all the people who demonstrate this behavior. So in your last table you showed, or your last cell, you showed which behavior issues in priority that were affecting your business. Now you want to identify all the people who demonstrate that behavior. Step number 4, you want to clarify your expectations. Now that you have an understanding of what behavior or performance issue to resolve first, it is time to determine what you would like the undesirable behavior to be replaced with. Where possible, clarify your expectations. You can refer back to documented standards, your code of conduct, or records of previous discussions. This will give them a physical look at exactly what you're looking for. Now, just because you can prove that someone has seen the standard, this doesn't mean that the standard is the current enforceable standard. Your documented standard cease to be current the first time an employee does not comply with the standard and you do nothing about it. So you want to make sure that this is a procedure that is documented, that it is standard, and that this employee is acting outside, or that these employees are acting outside of what is the norm. Now, So in that step 4, you identified the desirable behavior. So in the next cell, you want to put down next to that, you want to say what you would like them to behave in instead. All right, so step 5. Why do you want to correct this behavior? What are the consequences to the business, the team, or the customer of the performance problem? To be assertive and to create a compelling reason for change, you got to use your skills to discuss the impact of their behavior. You got to explain this to the employee so that they definitely understand exactly what's going on. So in this step, you want to put in the next cell, you want to write down in that box, you want to write why do you want to correct this behavior? So if someone's taking excessive breaks, you want to place more pressure on your team about the insufficient resources to assist the customers and the impact it has. Or if somebody isn't following procedures, you want to quantify exactly what the result is. If they're not wearing a safety helmet, say, you want to show that it could result in burns or it could result in, injuries to the skull that can be life-threatening. So therefore, this is why you want to correct this behavior. Because the more compelling, the easier it is to convince the employee that what they're doing is wrong. Now, step 6. What has happened in the past to address this behavior or performance issue? Now you got to do a little investigative work. Talk to your human resources people or ask managers who have been around for a while what has occurred in the past. This is worth the effort because you might get some additional context. So, to give you an example, when you're about to address an issue of excessive smoking breaks, the manager uncovered that the previous manager was a chain smoker. The previous manager actively condoned smoking by chatting to the employees in the smoking lounge. In the performance discussion, the manager was able to open up with, I know in the past the previous managers did not discourage smoking. However, now, this is a great communication strategy because now you're letting them know that you understand they just been this way. You're not blaming them for their behavior, but you're making them understand that from here forward, it's going to be this way. So basically in step 6, you want to say what happened in the past to address this behavior. And now you should have a table that basically shows all the things. It shows the problems. It shows the impact that that problem's having. It shows why it needs to change. And then it shows, what happened in the past to address the issue. So now you have a full account of what these problems are, and you should be able to communicate them clearly with the employee. If you enjoyed this video, then join my Business Mastery Insider Secrets Club. There you'll have access to all my business mastery systems, over 1,000 business strategy videos, over 100 hours of Business Mastery University courses. You'll access my 10 business assessment tools, my 12 business planning tools, the Small Business Makeover, the 120-day performance challenge, the 6-month internet blueprint, thousands of business articles, over 700 business templates, and over 100 of my favorite business strategy ebooks. All of this for just $29 a month for a limited time. So join now.
Financial or rewards in general are widely used in the business world. Being able to track an employee's work history can have a major impact on the overall success of a company. Employees who have an incentive to gain will work harder and produce better results. Monetary rewards are great, but there are better ways to motivate employees. 55% of employees would rather have praise from their supervisor. The number one motivating factor is praise and recognition. Monetary compensation can have its benefits as well. Just with the simple idea that an employee can make more money by achieving a task is easily understood. It is important to give the employee an attainable goal and then reward the employee when the goal is achieved. Another common incentive is bonus incentive days. By offering a reward of an additional time off, it is likely that employees will reduce sick time taken. An additional day off is a great way to motivate employees to be at work as much as possible. This concept is used a lot within the school system. Allowing employees to work from remote locations. By allowing employees to work from home, an employee may feel more valued and trusted, leading to a more motivated employee who will further produce great results for the company. So in conclusion, Performance evaluating tools and measurements are beneficial. Companies need these to evaluate each employee individually. Track records allow employees to see their progress. It helps employees see where they are strong and also where they may be lacking. And finally, improving job performance is the way of the future.
So in conclusion, we'd like you all to remember that job performance is important to both the employer and the employee. There are many ways to measure and document employee and company performance, and job performance expectations are important for both the employee and the employer. No employee, well, most employees don't wake up in the morning thinking they'll go to work to do a bad job. However, if the employee is not given direction and told what is expected of them and told when they're not performing and giving coaching and tools to help them perform better, the employee can't be expected to know what they're doing wrong, particularly if they're new to your particular industry. So make sure that you communicate well with your employees. Make sure that you keep your employees apprised of their performance with your company. And don't wait until an employee is in a bad spot to talk to them. Coach them and help them. As a supervisor, I've always said anything that I tell an employee in their yearly evaluation should never be a surprise. I should not be telling them their attendance is an issue or their job performance has not been as strong as I'd like it to be. That should not be something that they find out in their yearly performance evaluation. That's something they should already know. And at their employee evaluation, we should be discussing what they've done well and what they need to improve on and what I can do to help them get there. Thank you.